Hi, I'm Adrian Petterson, and I'll be presenting our paper, Designing for Lateral Care in Domestic Labor Economies, on behalf of my co-authors, Isabella Jaimes Rodriguez, Olivia Doggett, and Priyank Chandra. People are increasingly moving internationally to find employment, new opportunities, and somewhere to call home. Due to restrictions on work from migration laws, immigrant workers often participate in informal economies, performing domestic work such as cleaning and childcare, which occurs in the privacy of homes outside of the public jurisdiction. According to the International Labor Organization, there are 67 million domestic workers internationally. 11.5 million of these are migrant domestic workers, and 8.5 million are female migrant workers. While the informal domestic economy provides particular opportunities for migrant workers, there are also fewer formal supports to protect from these harmful clients, and work is more precarious. In domestic care spaces where women, particularly women of color, are overrepresented, intersectional vulnerabilities exacerbate the lack of security. Without formal supports, immigrant workers are appropriating digital labor platforms to create networks of support outside of formal infrastructures. Different affordances in these platforms either facilitate or impede organizing among domestic workers. In this paper, we explore how Latino house cleaners in Toronto perform professional care work and how they care for each other through networks of informal digital labor markets. To explore their experiences and to create actionable outcomes to inform futures of care labor in digital spaces, we ask the following questions. How are Latino house cleaners in Toronto engaging in networks of care through digital labor markets? And how can the care practice of Latino house cleaners inform future designs for digital care economies? Specifically, we look at power differentials in networks of care on platforms where they source care work employment and find ways to fill gaps in their own care needs. Using an intersectional feminist lens at the overlap of gender and immigration identities, care labor, and digital economies, we present responsibilities of designers and researchers to facilitate or, at minimum, allow for mutual care exchanges in informal digital markets. We introduce a novel term, lateral care, and present recommendations for designing with care for the future of digital markets. To exemplify how care uniquely showed up in the context of our study, we build on existing theories of care from Joan Tronto and Maria Puig de la Bellacasa, which highlight the ways that care is not performed in isolation, but rather in a networked way between many actors. In particular, we build on Tronto's stages and elements of care, which include the different stages and ways of caring, as well as what qualities are necessary for care to be done well. We also borrow Maria Puig de la Bellacasa's networks of care, which goes beyond interpersonal care and into an ecosystemic view of caring relations. Networks of care, therefore, are the full array of interactions between human and non-human actors, which mutually influence and enact care. Within networks of care, actors have the responsibility of both caregiver and receiver, as care exchanges are multidirectional and affect all network actors. For our study, we conducted 19 semi-structured interviews with Latino immigrant house cleaners in Toronto, Canada. We recruited participants through 3 channels: Facebook posts in groups for Latin American immigrants, a local community center where one research worked, and snowball sampling. Most participants identified as women, 17 out of 19, and hold a college degree or university degree, 16 out of 19. None of these participants worked in house cleaning prior to arriving in Toronto. All house cleaners identified as Latino, and most were between the ages of 30 and 50, 13 out of 19. We found 5 central themes from our data: morality of care, affective relations, valuations of expertise, care roles of clients, and lateral care. The networks of care in the house cleaning space also incorporate people, technologies, spaces, and socio-political forces such as migration, the house, cleaning technologies, families, and digital platforms. Despite often difficult working conditions, participants felt that their work was fulfilling for a moral good, often going above the requirements of the job well for the spaces that they were cleaning. As one participant said, "No, it is not only about economies, but because they are good people and I like to help them, I like it. I don't limit myself." Care has often been associated with morality and a moral imperative to care. However, our participants were performing care work through the public market, where capital exchange rather than moral obligation is meant to motivate care work. This shows how the platformization and marketization of care work blends public and private notions of work, but also opens up potential for exploitation as well as participants' compensation, being the moral value gained for caring well. Affective or emotional relations manifested in numerous human and non-human attachments in our participants' work. For example, one participant noted, when you no longer talk only about what you clean in the house and talk to other topics and begin a more sentimental connection, they want to know how you are. With this particular client, I feel there's a very rich connection beyond work. And the fact that I ask you how your children are and how you are, there is something more. Similar to the felt obligations due to morality, these affective ties in the clients and the physical space put more pressure on cleaners, but also made violations of those close affective ties by clients who did not adequately care hit all the harder. Participants had to negotiate differences between their own competence in cleaning work with client expectations. Balancing care for a space that belongs to another person, particularly somebody with different perspectives on cleaning, and the specialized expertise our participants possessed required a performance of competence and respect. Particularly for our Latina participants, they had to balance the expectation that Hispanic women are good at cleaning, despite none of our participants working in the cleaning industry prior to Canada, which provided them with more work opportunities, with the way that male clients would disregard their knowledge. This is exemplified in the two quotes from participants here, where at once there is the stereotype that Latinos, women come to clean up. And from my own experience, I've seen it too. Many of my friends, my women friends, work as cleaners. But particularly male clients would doubt their expertise, such as one where I told him that they sell a specific product to clean it, and when it isn't available, you clean it with oil and then with soap, not to damage the stone. He answered me he was going to check the internet to see if what I was saying was true. As highlighted by the networked care of nature of care work, there is a responsibility of care not just on the cleaners, but the clients have a responsibility to provide care for the cleaners. However, practices of care were inconsistent across client identities, pointing to the cultural variation of care, and many clients fell short of adequately caring for the cleaners due to extractive practices. Furthermore, the lack of care for clients was exacerbated by the lack of support for immigrant domestic workers. As one participant mentioned, so of course I pay the tax at the end. So it's not like I get, I don't know, benefits of retirement and all that, like when I'm an old woman. Interestingly, participants noted that their Canadian clients were more caring, leaning into the stereotype that Canadians are nice. Some participants, however, talked about how clients would pay them inconsistently or survey them as they worked, doubting their ability to clean effectively and presuming the cleaners to engage in unprofessional conduct. To address these struggles working in house cleaning industry as Latino immigrants, participants leveraged a non-hierarchical network of care in the digital platforms they sought work. All of our participants used identity-based Facebook groups to find work, some which were for Latino people in general, and some specific to certain countries of origin. Others were gendered spaces, like Sororidad Chilena or Mamas Latinas. In these identity enclaves, participants would seek out and share information about potential clients, get tips for cleaning, knowledge around local Canadian laws on employment and immigration, and post-job opportunities. Participants who organized lateral care in the Facebook groups emphasized their power by contrasting it to lack of that capability on other platforms. They sought work like Kijiji, a classified site in Canada, saying if there was a Kijiji of domestic workers, more than one person in Toronto would be left without cleaning services. To define the care work being performed between cleaners in these spaces, we expand on the theories Tronto and Puig de la Bellacasa by introducing the notion of lateral care. We define lateral care as decentralized, non-hierarchical, networked systems of care, and in the context of the study, enacted in digital spaces. These systems are characterized by sharing identities and are bottom-up structures aimed at empowering their participants as they navigate differential power hierarchies. In the context of this paper, lateral care manifests as care that is enacted between house cleaners, rather than the care exchanges between cleaners and clients. The lateral care was shown by cleaners helping their peers find jobs, reporting harmful clients, offering cleaning tips, and insights into immigration laws. Based on our findings, we make the following 3 recommendations for the future of design for digital care labor markets to better support lateral care between marginalized workers. We encourage designers and researchers to attend to networks of care, support valuation over individual visibility, and design with care. First, we saw how performing care labor was part of a larger, complex network. While most informal labor platforms focus exclusively on the exchange between the care worker and client, particularly on the care worker performing labor and the client financially compensating for the work, digital spaces should support multi-directional and multi-agential care exchanges. Second, digital labor spaces need to attend the power dynamics and unequal levels of visibility in digital labor platforms and support better valuation of the work performed by domestic workers, while also making more visible the clients who hold unequal levels of power. For example, the ability to call out and report harmful clients is important for the safety of domestic care workers, and facilitating higher visibility of clients' behavior could address power differentials emerging from the unequal level of surveillance that workers experience. Simultaneously, the cleaners we spoke to found value in their expertise being recognized by other domestic workers in lateral networks of care, so visibility lending to valuation rather than exposure should be forefronted. Through a network of care lens, digital technologies and their designs are a part of the care exchanges and have responsibilities of caring for domestic workers. Tronto presents requirements for performing good care, which align closely with the recommendations from feminist theories of HCI. First, competence requires the designer be knowledgeable about the complexities of the audience they design for, and to be able to navigate challenges that emerge from intersectional marginalizations. Second, being attentive means listening to the needs of all stakeholders and acknowledge their needs, particularly those who are the most marginalized by existing design, and attending to the impacts that designed artifacts have on them. Third, responsibility means that designers must proactively address the care needs of users. In the case of our study, this might mean facilitating the emergence of lateral care networks or finding a way to create memory around previous information shared amongst a lateral care group. Finally, being responsive demands attending to the vulnerabilities, power dynamics, and inequalities in care exchanges. In our study, a strong example of this is the way that cleaners exposed harmful clients, changing the uneven visibility of worker and client, and protecting future workers from being hurt by those clients. In the spirit of care, it is important to acknowledge the challenges the HCI community is facing, reckoning with how to care for the worlds we live in, while also participating in academic institutions. With the conference in Hawaii this year and calls to boycott the conference, these tensions are even more clear. While CHI's current care initiatives are focused on prioritizing the safety and well-being of its members, a vital endeavor not to be dismissed, it is equally crucial for the HCI community to introspect what systems it is maintaining and to identify what relations require repair and nurturing. I want to thank our participants for their vital insights and Kaina Mendoza Price for her vital work on this project as an interviewer and researcher. Thank you for listening to our presentation, and I encourage all of you to read our paper for more detail and reach out with any questions. Thank you.